So Halo 3 just dropped secretly,
Yeah.
surprisingly, ahead of schedule.
Which is good for you because, as we all know, you now love Halo.
Hey, guess what?
What?
Halo 2 fucking rules, man. Halo 2 fucking rules. That game's sick. I've played the first, I don't know, whatever it is. I guess 7 missions, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um so far. Basically the entire beginning Master Chief section, then switched over and did like I think one or two as the Arbiter. And first of all, the quality of these cutscenes in the remake by Blur Studio is
Mm-hmm.
unparalleled. Like, they're so well done that it makes everything that isn't those cutscenes like frustratingly like, damn, why isn't everything else like this? Even the few to the minimal amount of cutscenes there were in the first game. Like, why
Mm-hmm.
couldn't we just get Blur to do all of this, you know? Um, and obviously the answer is the money, but I never thought money being low would be a problem for a franchise like Halo because I'm used to schlubbing it up in the fucking uh, 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 fighting game slash random visual novel world, you know?
Yeah.
So,
So I'm looking at your footage of the Halo right now. That looks a lot better than I remember.
dude, it's so good. It's
That looks a
really
lot better than what
incredible.
I remember.
You know, they just kind of replaced the in-game cutscenes with these just like gorgeous rendered scenes that were like perfectly lit. Very like they have J.J. Abrams lens flares flying all over the place, and they have a really nice hand camera simulation going on, so that like it feels as if it's like someone like an actual cinematographer is operating a
Oh, I
camera.
found one of these cutscenes. Yeah, this looks stellar.
Um, so as someone who had no idea what the Covenant like workings looked like, upon starting that, being greeted with like a giant sort of like cutscene introduction to the Colosseum of them, and you know the leadership, the hierarchies, the prophets, all that stuff. It was like, oh, it's like right into hard fantasy living world.
Mm-hmm.
And within seconds of that first cutscene, I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand why and where the desire to go into all this lore that people keep trying to send me ahead of time. I understand where it comes from, right? Because
I
the first game, you know, again, like cute little trip around the ring, fun stuff, like a lot of little wow, you know, and it was kind of the deal. And then you run into your cheeky AI has a squawky battle with the other cheeky AI, and then you get the fuck out of there. But in this case, like they build a very interesting world with like the ships and the you know the designs of these aliens, and like you want to know more about the hierarchy of them, and I'm like, you're like, okay, so you know, like you're getting these little terminals, and each terminal shows you a little bit of the past, and with each little bit of the past you're kind of seeing like, and I know these are added for the remake, right, definitely, but like you're seeing a little bit.
yeah, apparently some of those you mentioned for Halo 1 are like massive, massive, crazy fuck spoilers.
uh in Halo 1 I didn't watch the terminals.
Okay,
I
but in
oh,
Halo 2 they're not like as spoilery.
in Halo 2 they're more in line with the content happening in the game at the moment. So for
Okay.
example, pretty much all of the ones I've been watching have been like, this is what Vanity was doing, and here's how cool he
Mm-hmm.
was. Here's how badass his kill count is, but he had big honor. Look at him being Sagat with that big honor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but he's super cool though. Look at this kill count. The number go up. See that planet? Here's Reach. Get fucked, Reach. You know, like,
Well, that's later.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
I mean, it's earlier, but
there's literally a video game for that, of course. But I just mean that like the terminals in two are like they don't feel as bad because we're learning at the same time, you know. But all of that. So yeah, Blur did an incredible job with those cutscenes, and then you get into the game, and it's like, yeah, yo, dual wielding, super sick. Like, duh, Master Chief holding 2 guns on the box, you know what's coming. Really fun to mechanic, and especially since you can mix and match, mixing and matching. For some reason, I thought you would always be dual wielding the same guns. I didn't think mixing and matching would be the thing.
That is how it's gonna be going forward. They take that away in 3 and ODST and Reach.
Okay, yeah.
The reason why is because of the dual spikers, dual because that not spike. What the purple with the spikes?
Needlers.
The Needler, yeah, that thing fucks.
Yeah, it fucks hard. Absolutely.
Yeah,
it goes in. And yeah, you just hold those buttons down. I
know it's in 3, but you can't dual wield it in 3, you dumb shits.
So I can feel that something special is happening while I'm playing this game. I'm like, yeah, there's the production value on these cutscenes is incredible. The missions are really fun. Like the fact that like after this introduction, we're dropped into I think it's New Mozambique or right, and you are having urban warfare with the Covenant, and they're peeking out of alleyways, and like I'm like, wait, New Mombasa, and I'm like, this is a gray, dusty, like military shooter looking environment, but we're having alien battles with our big dumb shiny guns with them, and I was like, that's super unexpected from what we came off of.
It's kind of silly.
I thought it was really rad as a change of pace goes, though.
Well, no, I don't mean that disparaging. Like, there's parts of Halo that if you were to look at a screenshot, it's like, it's kind of silly. Like, grunts are not a threat.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And, like, the hunters are worms, man. But the fact that we, like, I guess I just, like, you drop down to Earth, and then that means... you're gonna have urban battles with like big old shiny alien guns as a part of it, and I was like, I didn't see that coming, so I had a lot of fun with that. Also, I learned the truth, the light and the way in the form of the battle rifle, which is like, of all these first-person shooters I've been using, there's always the guns where you're like, this just feels good to use. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The feedback, the animation, the tightness, the recoil, every little bit, the reload, like the feel of a good gun is a thing that I'm able to appreciate now, especially after using stuff where you're like, well, this serves its function.
You've hit like a bunch of these, like bam, bam, bam,
not accidentally, and I'm starting to definitely see like what. Yeah, you can pick out in a lineup of like multiple guns that it's like, this fucking battle rifle is, man, that's good.
Battle rifle's the burst shot, right?
Yes, and it has.
Congrats, you've discovered the Space M16.
It has a mid, but I mean, we had the automatic in the first game, right, with the big number counter on it.
The automatic is just, it doesn't.
Yeah, no, nothing. It didn't have that pop, right? And so this thing immediately had that pop. It's got a mid-range scope, and then you just like like it, appropriately BR is the noise it makes as well.
Burst shot rifles are fun to use in many video games, and Halo has a good one.
And then you just watch the thing go down, and you're like, yeah, that's a really satisfying gun. I don't want to leave home without it. So walking around with one of those and whatever else we can find is great. Dual needlers, of course, is just hold button, melt enemy, It also introduces Johnson is back with a vengeance. He's coming in with his big ass lines, and you're just like, all right, right out of every Predator and or Aliens movie.
All right, Carl.
I fucking love it. Let's do it. Oorah. And the Warthog gets a near Bayonetta level entrance as it literally hops a ramp in mid-air onto the screen, and like you're waiting for the camera to zoom in and have the words Warthog displayed over everything, because it's like, look, it's back, there it is. And this time it's got a pulse rifle on the back of it, or is a burst rifle, or whatever it was, the second type of Warthog. That's not it's not a like a giant fucking Gatling gun. It's a different type of gun. Anyway, there's a different warthog.
Man, you're gonna love Halo
Gauss.
3's fucking a friendly cousin to the warthog.
Oh, cool.
There's a warthog variant that's much smaller that you will very much enjoy riding around on.
The Ghost is back, and not only is it as great to control as ever, but now you've got a fucking boost button, so that's great. And humongous big set piece battle walker where you jump on the AT-AT and then you take it down, and then big sequence goes and pops off, and you're just like, this is wild, you know? In particular, the introduction as well of the Arbiter. He gets his origin, you go and then you fucking take control, and you get a completely different mechanic where now I can like rush in, go ham, hit that stealth button and get the fuck out, and or do it the other way around, stealth in, go ham, kill everything. But like it is a different feel to things that is like something that I can appreciate, because even though like you're trading off what I thought was ultimately not that, like you're trading off a flashlight, which how often do you need it? Well, it turns out you're going to be in dark areas and you're probably going to need that flashlight.
And look at that.
So it's legitimately a trade-off between the two. But that's where I kind of stopped right now. And yeah, like the little bits and details, the nicely done things, the fact that Master Chief is getting decorated while the Arbiter is getting disgraced, you know, like these little like nice parts of like how the story is being told are things I really enjoy. And so far, man, this game is fucking just banging. Like, I'm really, really impressed with it.
I feel like listening to you get so into it and seeing everybody so excited, I have been hit with a very bizarre emotion that I don't know how to place, which is I played Halo 2 back in 2006, and why didn't I enjoy it the way you are enjoying it? And this isn't the usual thing that I would do of like, I don't get to explain it. It's like, I'm thinking back, it's like, I think I might have gone about it in a way that specifically ruined it for myself. Because you mentioned that Master Chief is getting like a medal in the beginning, in the very first bit, and Arbiter is getting disgraced.
Mm-hmm.
And my experience with that was, who the fuck are these aliens? What is that? Why does that alien get... Why are they mad at that alien? What is a Halo? Because I never played Halo 1.
Oh, you played this first?
I picked up Halo 2 for $12 and played it Xbox backwards compatible because everyone was going insane about Halo 3
before 1
coming out the following year.
Before 1.
Yeah, I've never played 1.
Well, yeah, that would explain part of it.
Everyone's like, "Oh, Halo 2 is one of the greatest." Oh my god! I'm like, okay. And like, I remember starting it up, and I'm like, "Who? Master Chief is there? Who is it?" And they're just like, "No, I don't tell them." And is it possible that because
you skip
like all these sequences that I think back, like I guess they were pretty cool, I guess, but the whole time, all I could think of is, who is that?
You skipped Dante's Awakening, and now you're asking who Nero is.
Wait, that kind of doesn't make any sense. Because Nero is actually set up and explained in 4.
Well, I mean, I haven't gone through the entirety of 2 yet, but I mean the introduction of a new character where you're just kind of following this new person introduced into the lore. There's a reason why you're following this person. Eventually you take control of them, you know? So, like, the answer to who is this is, well, I should keep playing to find out.
No, actually, when I asked who is this, I meant like the Covenant.
Oh, well then.
Because when you start Halo 2 and you don't have Halo 1, it's weird aliens.
Yeah. No. The first thing that happens in Halo 2 is, why did you fuck up so hard in the last game? And here's the hero of the last game being super awesome. Look at you, you're so cool, guy. So yeah, it's a direct fucking sequel. Like, yeah. You were set up to fail on that one, man.
So the answer, a lot of people are like, why would you skip parts? And the answer to that is actually, frankly, when I looked at Master Chief on the box, I figured I wouldn't need to care about the game's story because he was a dumb space marine.
Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations.
Because he looks, particularly the Halo 1 version, looks like a generic ass space marine.
You played yourself. But I'm sure all these years later you can understand how silly that sequence of events was.
I mean, I liked Halo 3 considerably more because I had
played Halo 2 and then you knew what happened?
Yeah, like there's a moment where the Flood shows up in Halo 2, shocker, and they literally just go, "Oh shit, it's the Flood." And I go, "The what?" And that is it. That is literally it.
Dude, yeah, I mean,
and then I'm shooting them, and I'm like, but what are they?
Yeah, it's
are they goo?
It's your fault. It's an amazing game, and it's your fault. Like you did set yourself up for failure there, unfortunately. That's that.
Was Halo 1 backwards compatible for the 360 back in the day? It should have been, right?
It definitely was, because in the classics section, I remember Combat Evolved box staring at me constantly. I remember the Combat Evolved box always available in the classics on the 360, and then on the Bone as well. It was one of the first ones they let you grab. Like they pointed to that franchise the entire time. It was one of the big ones.
Well, here's the thing, right? And I'm seeing a lot of people going like, "Oh my god, that's like playing MGS2, yada yada." But here's the thing: the people that I spoke to about Halo would never talk about anything other than the multiplayer, and I assumed it was a multiplayer franchise primarily.
You were not given word of mouth reasons to care about the Soldier Man story.
Yeah, and it was like I can't believe you played Modern Warfare 2 before Modern Warfare 1.
Right.
It's like, well, who cares? Who gives a shit about the story of Modern Warfare?
Well, it turns out the story's fucking rad. Like, it turns out that was a huge
idiots?
mistake.
No shit, morons. I was in high school.
Yeah, no, it turns out that was a huge mistake, and like the story's great. And it's like there's nothing else to say about it. Like it's the exact same as any other like narrative-driven franchise where we would look at it and go like, "Oh yeah, this thing is cool to see what happens from part to part to part." And in this case, just 7 missions in, again, not done, but boy, does it require you to know what happened.
Like by that metric, I enjoyed Reach by far the most of the ones that I played because Reach is a prequel, right? And so they have to set up a bunch of shit because it's like the first Covenant, whatever. And it has a completely self-contained story that doesn't go anywhere.
Now, if anything, I would say that your story is probably an indicator of the way millions of people that just kind of jumped in on the big thing, kind of, that'd probably be their experience as well, where people that don't care that much either way jumped on, played it, went, I don't know what the fuck's happening here, whatever, oh cool, I can play as the Arbiter, and then went like, let's just go play multiplayer with the boys because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the thought process. So
that was everyone I ever knew that I ever spoke to about Halo until I started playing Destiny and people started to complain to me that Halo was so much better.
Yeah, so y'all were a bunch of dumb kids and you fucked up. Shit's rad. So I can see every way that it happens so often in video game franchises where you just get that second release where you're like, we figured it out. We have the direction. We know the mechanics. We have the tone. You know what I mean? Like, we got our foot in the door and now we know how to take that next step with confidence. V made the Street Fighter 2 comparison. I said Mega Man 2. I said Sonic 2. That moment where you're like, we've figured it out and now we can just focus on the experience feeling as fucking great as possible. And
because like there were little itty bitty pieces of this that added to the confusion, because the thing that got me to start playing Halo 2 via backwards compatibility was this was the sequence of events, right? It was the Halo 3, like the Halo 3 trailer comes out that is Master Chief in a cloak in the desert. I'm sure you remember that one.
Yeah, where he jumps and he makes the big shield.
And it was almost silly because it is a robot. Like if you're totally divorced, it's like Robot Man under the cloak. That's what is it protecting him from? Whatever. But and then everyone starts going insane, and they start up that ad campaign that is like the war veterans with the incredible diorama.
Staring at the diorama. Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The diorama thing was super cool, and it's like, wow, this is really super serious and kind of crazy, incredible ad campaign. Everyone's going crazy for this. Okay, I guess I ought to play one. Talk to people. Hey, which of the Halos are good? Oh yeah, Halo multiplayer is so good. Oh my god, you should play Halo 2. But I have no desire to play the multiplayer of like a backwards compatible, like multiple-year-old Xbox original game. So then I hop in and I'm confused, and then I think the one person that I spoke to when I'm like, I don't understand what's going on, told me, oh yeah, if you read all the books, it's way better.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the assumption that Halo 1 also had nothing in it, and that it was all in the books, and went, that's stupid.
Yeah. Well, you weren't talking to real gamers, Pat. That's the problem.
I think I really was talking to real gamers. I think that might have been the problem.
You're likely, I would imagine, that the individuals in question likely feel the exact same way about all of that right now, as opposed to like having since figured it out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yes, Chad, I'm aware I listen to the worst people. That's why I got into this business, so that I could be the worst person you could all listen to.
hey, you were led astray, but you still fucked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what's up.
Well, now I'm in an even weirder place, because now I'm jealous of the experience you're having, but I can't go back because I hate Bungie now.
Oh, well. Yeah, I have no
like
attachment.
I hate Bungie with like all the sweat off my body.
I have no attachment to Destiny whatsoever. You know, they got my money the first time, and I was done with that. But this is fucking incredible. And you know, yeah, it definitely is like, you know, it certainly does help too that like, yeah, no, like V knows what the fuck is going on with this franchise and is kind of like talking and giving the bits and pieces that help. But I think that in general the procession of events here is such that this, you know, the new MCC collection is there, and like what you were playing, or what was around back when you first were looking at this was the original anyway, right? That's what you played. Like if you did go take a look at, you know, any of these, like you can now play them with the redone visuals and like
so
super
the
quality
most
graphics.
Interesting thing about that is that Halo 3 does not have like a rematch. It didn't get the anniversary treatment because it was way newer.
It's too new, yeah.
But does this create a bizarre situation where you go like 1, 2 are like 2016 looking level games, and then Halo 3 looks like a high-res 2007 game, and then Reach is like 2011? Like,
I've heard people saying that 3 is clearly not as like polished as some of the remade stuff, but it's still all right. It's still good. So but
okay,
I don't
I'm
know.
looking at footage of it now. It's clearly like, you know, trimmed up, but it's not like the anniversary shit that you've been going through. But yeah, no, you could just it looks fine.
Something important to note about Anniversary as well is that whereas 1 had, there were like, I told you about the parts of 1 where like the remade environment was too much.
Yeah.
It was actually it was too much. You couldn't see what you needed to see, or it kind of obfuscated really awesome art design details. 2 doesn't. I don't find 2 has that problem. I find 2 is just an out and out improvement But then again, like, you know, I'm only glancing at the classic every now and then to sort of just see how it stacks up.
Oh my god, I just remembered how I played most of 3. Oh my god, I took every step possible to ruin this series for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I played more than half of the Halo 3 campaign in the Eaton Center Game Buzz, like talking to the guy that I would later on trick into selling a Street Fighter.
Standing at the TV at the
With
on the
the
counter.
shitty little TV in the corner and hanging from the ceiling.
You stood there for hours.
Yeah.
And no one. Well,
No, he was just like talking. We were just chatting because like I bought tons of shit from there, so he didn't give a fuck.
Could you even hear the game?
No.
Yeah, you're a moron. Of course you.
Well,
fucking...
because I had played Halo 2 and I had stopped halfway through and been like, oh, whatever, and I was waiting for a movie.
Finish the fight at a kiosk with the
like,
sound off.
And I'm like, oh, cool. I'll
While
play
talking
some
to
crap.
an attendant behind a desk.
I'll play some of the Halo thing.
Nice.
While I'm waiting for my movie, and then he just never deleted the file. So every time I would go wait for something in that area or wait for somebody, I would just play like an extra half hour of it.
Fight finished, done and done.
And then I later was like, oh, okay, and then I bought it at home, and then I played through it at home, and then
the way like Major Nelson intended.
I had only I got halfway through just like on that TV, on that shitty like CRT hanging off the ceiling.
So
I
like,
thought it was a dumb game, and that I was smart by thinking it was dumb. Excuse me.
So like, can we just get like the Pat riding the bike, and then with his Shiva arms he puts like 8 pegs into the spokes at the same time,
and then it's Halo sucks. I don't get it when I'm on the floor. Oh, that is. Can I beat Halo before McDonald's kicks me out? Isn't it?
You know, if your neck didn't break on the way down.
Oh my god! Somebody in the chat said Halo's just Madden with guns. I thought that's what it was. I thought it was the dude bro shooter for dude bros. Turns out that was actually Call of Duty.
Okay, now. Can I beat Halo before McDonald's closes is real, because that I haven't heard that before, but I remember when Ocarina of Time was at the McDonald's near my place as a kid. And
wait, how?
They had a play place with some kiosks,
okay.
And they had a setup there, and I remember like it was the small window of time when my fucking money got stolen, so I didn't get to buy mine right away, and then going home and they had it set up there, and like people were just fucking playing it, and it was just like, hey, do you want to start in the middle of Jabu Jabu's belly? And
yeah, fuck it.
You know, well, I'd rather not personally, you know, but yeah, I mean that was a thing, and people would just line up and go for it because they didn't give a fuck. Who's gonna, you know, you go finish the game if you want. Who gives a shit, you know? It's McDonald's. That's an incredibly self-sabotaging history. Did you ever even look at one at all, or did it just completely evade the radar entirely?
I watched the original first 2 seasons. I watched the first couple seasons of Red versus Blue.
Oh yeah, so you finished. Yeah, you're done. You're good. No, you're covered.
And then when they switched to making it with the Halo 2 engine,
yeah,
I went, I don't like how Caboose looks now, and stopped watching.
Yeah, no, you're good. If you watched Red versus Blue season 1, then like yeah, you've played Halo 1. You're good. Just checking. All right, cool.
I know Sidewinders, the ice map. because that's where Tex went to get the thing in that episode.
Anyway, Keith David continues to be the best part of every project he's associated with.
Yeah, that's not fair. Every time he's shown up, I go, it's Keith David! Like, he's the best.
It's actually kind of impressive that the guy in Killer Instinct is apparently not Keith David, but he just does a fucking 10 on 10 job impersonating him. Wild.
Which guy?
So let me take a look here. But the Arbiter in KI, someone told me
that's really
apparently
that's crazy.
Apparently, it's not him. So
that's bananas.
Yeah. So that's really cool. But yes, anyway, so I was fucking enjoying the shit out of that. And yeah, he spawned as well.
Halo's good.
Right. Halo's good. Halo 2 is excellent.
Oh man, you want to hear the pinnacle, the absolute pinnacle of how fucking like horrible I ruined this shit for myself was I'm sure I don't think you fought the Flood yet, but I'm getting into Halo 2 and I'm fighting the Flood, which I think is like, oh, you did? Okay. So I'm halfway through the game, I think it was anyway. And I'm fighting Big Flood Monster, and I go and like I'm at the point where I'm looking around like an insane person and going, when the fuck are they gonna explain to me what a Halo is? Why is this shit called Halo? I don't get it.
Did at any point, I'm trying to remember because yeah, no, it was only in the terminals. In the terminals you see a bit of that. But yeah, well, there you go.
And then by the time I got to 3, some like Guilty Spark just literally sits you down. And
okay, well,
3 has a thing.
You can stop there. You can actually stop there. I'm enjoying this.
No. It's just like Halo 3. It clearly has someone there on the team that was like, dumbasses don't know what the story is.
Which makes sense because this is a flagship franchise with Super Bowl commercials.
And there's like a real concerted effort in 3 to go like, that's what a Halo.
Yeah, I feel as if there's a very clear. I'm playing this whole series in mind. Like, again, you don't need to elaborate, but I'm playing this whole series in mind, knowing that it's continuing to be Microsoft's major, like it's their Mario, right? It's Sega Sonic. It is the flagship. So I'm expecting that as each game gets bigger and crazier and larger, there's going to be a very clear like, listen, man, about 70% of the people buying this time did not touch any previous games. They just want something exciting to play on their Xbox. So we're probably going to need to have it be explained somewhat because they're not standalone, you know?
Like, I think probably I'm thinking back, it was like, is Halo 3 my favorite because there's a moment where somebody looks at the camera and goes, this is what the Covenant is.
Maybe.
Because
you big
I had
dumb.
Gotten all the way to 2007 thinking they were like generic space aliens.
Yeah. Maybe. At the same time, anyone who's coming into the third game of a franchise going like, oh, yo, you guys are all talking about this thing? Okay, yeah, let's check it out. And the whole marketing campaign is finish the fight. And if it never occurs to you that I didn't start it, so I might not fully know what's going on right now, then yeah, you kind of deserve what you get, man. You know?
I think the funniest...
we laugh at and mock mercilessly those who enter into any franchise mid to late way just on a hype train and then get frustrated as they're confused. One of my favorite tweets we just talked about was the guy streaming DMC5. Dante starts dancing and he just fucking taps out. I love that. It's the best shit ever because you are a fool. You are a fool for going about things the way you did. So
I feel like, yes, I was a fool, but I was dramatically failed by everyone within 20 miles of me because I literally never the only person I ever knew that mentioned anything about Halo's story said, "Oh, the story in the games is whatever. You got to read all the books." And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And everyone else didn't know what the story was.
Yeah, no, you're
because they literally just played multiplayer.
You're explaining the reasons why you fucked up, and trust me, that's my thing. I get it. I get it. I totally understand how and why this fuck up came to be.
Do you remember right before the week before Mass Effect 3 came out, and it was having like even bigger like the end of the end of a saga, the end of a trilogy?
It was not. It was not bigger than Halo. It was not bigger than Halo.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the energy of like the finale of a trilogy, like specifically this will be the last Mass Effect stuff.
Okay.
And every interview that came out for that week period was, "Oh yeah, you could totally start on this one. Yeah, you don't need those other two at all." From like every developer they talked to, and the reaction was, "What? But if..."
Did they say that?
Oh yeah, I remember laughing my ass off. They're like, "Oh, we think Mass Effect 3 is the perfect place to start the series. It's never been a time to start playing Mass Effect."
Disingenuous marketing. That sucks because you're lying to people to get them to buy the game and then eventually get frustrated when they don't understand.
And like but the people who were interested in the game got these big red flags. Like, wait a second, if the first two games don't matter, the whole point is that the choices would carry forward through multiple games. You remember that?
Awful. Yeah.
It's like, but if they don't matter, don't they not matter?
Like, did they give it some sort of asterisk where they're like, well, because you can read the codex? Because the codex will tell you. Well, then fucking
they did not.
That's just lies. That's just big lies.
It was crazy.
That's terrible.
Mass Effect is extra crazy because like the start of Mass Effect 3 is invasion on Earth from the Reapers, and the new player will go, "What are those?" Like, what is that? And the whole game is about that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like, oh man. Oh, I hate people I knew back in 2003 and 4 and 5.
I'm glad that I have the ability to, put myself in like last decade mode. I can run compatibility on my brain when I play old games to be like, yeah, okay, I see what was happening at the time. I've been like,
I guess I didn't have that back in the day, or the problem was that I decided to get in the middle instead of, because every big franchise that I do now, I either go back from the start, no matter how old it is, or I already was there.
I'm trying to think of like a franchise where I jumped in the middle, and
Street Fighter 2 right there.
Where I'm like, I know that like whenever it's something that it's like, especially like unless like I feel uncomfortable doing it unless I kind of get the okay that it's like, no, this is all right, this is standalone, right? In the sense that when it comes to like Doom 2016, for example, when it comes to Persona is a big one, where I was like, okay, the friends that I spoke to about this are all like, you'll be okay, this is a standalone, you'll be fine.
Might as well be a completely different franchise when you jump from 2 to 3.
Nier, I definitely like, I felt like this is, I don't want to, I don't want to just start this, and I went back and watched the entire game. I watched the entirety of Gestalt, So like that was one of those cases where just like I would feel like I'm like, but what if though? I don't want to be in that situation. And then it turns out like, yeah, that was correct. There's a bunch of cases where I do end up jumping in the middle, but like I usually feel like I want to check with friends to make sure that they're like, do you think this is okay or what, you know?
You know what is actually a decent one that I would actually say you can jump into with like a 2-hour YouTube session prior is Witcher. You could totally go and watch like a video breakdown of the basic outline of events for the first 2 games, and you'd be pretty fine going into the third one.
I mean, that's the thing is like Nier kind of was the proof of like concept in a way, because like watched the entirety of Gestalt and then watched the full breakdowns of all the Drakengard's, you know? Like I made sure to do as much homework as I could within the time frame before going into Automata, and it paid off. Even in the small bits, it paid off, you know?
There's a lot of stuff that pays off with the Witcher series, but the problem is that the Witcher 3 is the first one that's like a real video game for human beings. And Witcher 2 is like a fucked up Polish game, and Witcher 1 is like a fucked up Polish game made by space aliens for space aliens. I love Witcher 1, but Witcher 1 is a fucked up game made for crazy people.
Well, I was going to say that every once in a while there's a franchise where people that are into the franchise actively discourage you from catching up. Like no one will tell you to go play Zone of the Enders 1. No one.
It's Zone of the Enders 1 is wild because there is literally nothing in that game of value other than like the basic story events compared to the second one. And the intro of the second one just sums it up in like a 45-second cutscene when you meet Leo.
As does the button on the main menu that goes like, here's what happened in Zoe 1, you know?
And it's like a minute. So, it's like nothing.
Yeah. And the length of it as well. But it's also so short that you might as well just do it.
There are 3 enemies in Zone of the Enders 1.
Yeah. So that's it. Like it's so incredibly digestible in such a short period of time that it's almost like you might as well. But yeah, you know, that's a bit of a weird one. That's a bit of a weird one. Like the franchises where they're like, no, stay away from the first game, please.
It'll fuck up. DMC2 is a good example. Hey, I'm gonna play through the Devil May Cry series. Okay, here's the order: 1, 3, 4, 5, done. Wait, what about 2? What are you talking about? Are you alive? Who are
watch the live action commercial for 2,
and you're done? Yeah, that's the whole thing.
So yeah, that was me.
Okay. I should give Halo another shot. I feel very stupid. That's probably the worst I've ever done to myself in terms of like a medium.
I mean, considering the scope that the franchise went to, yeah, probably.
Especially considering I then went on and later played the shittier follow-up series by the same company.
And keep in mind, like, I'm not touching multiplayer at all. I'm just doing the campaigns.
Oh, by the way, so one of the confusions that I'm seeing from folks is that, Pat, how is Halo 3 your favorite if you played like half of it on like a TV inside a GameStop? And that's because I actually played a shitload of the multiplayer and became that person that was like, I don't get what story Halo, whatever, but this fucking Mongoose custom map with rocket launchers is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I mean, the multiplayer pretty much allows you to just judge it mechanically for what it is.
Yeah.
So and I know that.
And then Call of Duty 4 came out and was like, wait, why do people care about Halo when this hotness is around?
Well,
I forgot about the series.
I like big dumb alien guns.
Yeah. Let's see what I do this week. I
To
did
be
a
fair, I've
bunch
never
of.
really given real guns a chance. Well, there's your clip.
What? Okay, wait. Do you mean like real video game guns or real
Yes,
guns?
real video game guns. Like for the most part, I watched my brother play some, and I had to test a few, but I never really went down that.
Real video game guns. They don't have the flash of a big sci-fi, plasma whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the games they're associated with usually have some gimmick to like some aspect to them that will lock it in. So for me, it was I thought real ass video game guns were lame as shit until the day that I was playing Battlefield Bad Company 2, and I picked a sniper rifle and fired at some guy, and because of bullet drop, I had to fire like half the screen above where the dude was,
Mm-hmm.
and I hit him in the face,
Mm.
and I got a headshot, and I was like, "Whoa, yeah!"
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And then
mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, maybe real guns can have some cool value here.
Mm. That sounds dope. Yeah.
And it happened the one time, and I've been trying to recreate it ever since.
Snapshot King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a hit scan thing.
I well, I mean, look, if the theme of Woolie's 2020 gaming career is challenging assumptions, like I have to be real in that, like like yeah, the those games are the realistic guns are the thing that like I kind of never gave a fair shake out of disinterest,
Mm-hmm.
so like I'm definitely in the process of learning that like that is a thing that I might be convinced otherwise on because feeling is believing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I like that. You just think that up just now.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. Feeling is believing. Because seeing ain't enough.